Well, I started out as an ordnanceman in, well, in 1950, and then, well, eventually went to air crew, but I worked on weapons and bombs and so on at the base here. I'm trying to think, was a range master. I don't know if you know what, that's someone when you go up to shoot at the rifle range, is the one who's in charge, tells you, ready on the left, ready on the right. Well, basically he's in charge of all the safety and everything concerned with firing the, practice rounds. Well, when the planes would go off for aerial gunnery, they would, come back when they landed. We'd meet the planes at the south end of the runway, and have the pilots plant the planes at this dirt bank, and then we'd get up on the wings and unload the 6 machine guns, or the 3 on each side, or if they only used 2 machine guns, we'd only do 1 on each side. But the idea was to open up the breech and take the ammunition out and make sure there was nothing in the chamber, and then they'd take the planes back to the main line, and then we'd unload it, take the ammunition out of the planes. We also took the guns out of the planes, and because they had to be cleaned and put back in, which we did during the week. So we checked the magazines where we stored ammunition and bombs and stuff. Had to be checked every morning for temperature to see if the temperature had varied during the night, and also whether any of the ammunition was leaking. I mean, when I say that, the bombs sweat. And if you can smell this when you go into the magazine, and if you did smell this, you had to, we knew how to clean it. But I mean, because if I remember right, cotton was too rough. That could set the stuff off if you rubbed it the wrong way. So you had to get a non-abrasive material to clean them off. But that rarely happened. I think it was a DC-3. That's one of them when they were coming back from somewhere in California. That they were landing, and I guess the wing fell off, and the plane, flipped over on its side and slid down the runway, but no one was hurt in that. And of course, there was another plane about that same era that was carrying Marines, and that crashed, I think, into Mount Rainier, and they were all killed. And I think it took about 20 years before they ever found the plane. But that was due to the fact that the ice had melted, and anyway, the plane became visible. Well, he came down on the runway, but his brakes failed. So then he started going between the hangars down the road until the plane ran out of, fuel, or not fuel, but just momentum.
Did he crash into a hangar?
No.
Good for him.
Yeah, he just rolled. I still have many friends from out here that, our ranks are getting pretty short, but there's still a group that still go up to Whidbey Island for an annual reunion every 2 years. Well, we used to, Compass Rose was actual, I'm trying to think what's the correct word for the 4 points, compass points, and they were, we used it to calibrate the compasses on the airplanes. The new, I think every 90 hours or something, we'd have to take a plane out there and put it on there and calibrate and make sure the compasses were all aligned the same. I think it was a concrete area. It was off the field. It wasn't, it seemed to me that we had to go, it wasn't off the field. I mean, you could get to it from the runway. But I think it was on would be the east side of the field. Well, actually, the mess hall was right in those complex, the middle of those buildings, concrete buildings on, what was the main?
Building 9.
Building 9, because that's also where the first exchange was. and the barber shop, and the chaplain was on the top. We went up the stairs to go there, and you went down the stairs. Well, actually, you went upstairs to eat at the galley too, and the mess hall was up above. Probably a lot of them, because it was a good time. But it was a good time to be in Seattle also at that time. But I do remember one thing: they used to fly the Navy team whenever they played the University of Washington. They used to land here at Sand Point, if the pilot had the nerve. Because a lot of times they'd take one look at the field and fly to Boeing Field. This is only a 5,000-foot runway, or 5,400 feet. It wasn't too short, but if you're not used to it, this is not a very easy field to fly into, really, even though there's water on three sides of it.
You don't want to end up in the water.
No, but I did have a few friends that did, so. Well, there was one of them, I know I got off. A bunch of us were going on this one. We had to get one last flight in on it. And anyway, the point was that so many people were going out to get on that plane that this other pilot was, and he said, no, he says, why don't we take another plane? We don't want to go on this. Well, anyway, so we said, okay. Four of us said, okay, and we got off that plane, and that one started down the runway, and we looked at it and said, he's not going to get off. And he bounced the plane into the air, and they landed in the water south end of the runway. That was a P4Y, and I think 11 people were on it, and they said, I think it wasn't even 30 seconds, and they were all out of the plane. They were coming out of that thing, it was hard it was almost comical to watch.